Men's Health Month, and on TOSA Talks, it's the perfect time to encourage the young men and boys in our lives to make healthy decisions. We're talking about eating healthy, being active, and turning the gift of life into a legacy for others. Men's Health Month is not just about healthy living to ease the strain on the national transplant waiting list, but also motivating men to support those who continue to wait by signing up to save lives with Donate Life Texas. In Texas, men make up 63% of the waiting list, but only 44% of men are registered as organ donors. Today, our special guest is Stefan Delgado, a lifestyle influencer and founder of Bare Essentials on Instagram, who is here to help us talk about men's health and share ways to encourage men to be life-saving donors. Stefan, thank you for joining us on TOSA Talks. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about yourself?
I guess some people would say I'm an influencer. I'm still not quite comfortable with that word yet. But I do take the pros that come with it in terms of being able to influence people in things that I do believe in. And that's kind of what Bare Essentials had turned into for me. Initially, it was an Instagram account where I would talk about men's fashion and men's style in San Antonio and just trying to promote, men and dressing better and dressing well. Because women always had that outlet, but men didn't really, there's not really a lot of outlets for men in that world. We get caught up in the fact that women are always concerned about their looks or their bodies or their well-being, their mental health. But I think sometimes we forget that men feel the same way too. We just don't talk about it as much. We're just too, that whole machismo piece of it, right? Where we're just not going to say it. We don't admit to it, but it's there. I get messages all the time. And so it's gravitated towards that as well too. So Bare Essentials is just kind of an outlet for me.
That's awesome. And I know for April, which is Donate Life Month, you also partnered with one of the local hospitals to promote organ donation. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, Methodist healthcare system approached me about helping them promote different initiatives that they had. And it fit exactly what I was looking for, is promoting that, healthy lifestyle for men, whether it's, organ donation, whether it's through, right now we have a cereal drive going on to try to end childhood hunger. The organ donation was a big one for me, though, is because I experienced this when I was in, I think, elementary. I had a friend of mine who needed a heart transplant. And, at that age, you don't really understand what organ donation is. My parents didn't talk to me about organ donation. It wasn't that out there as I guess it is now. And I can remember her needing a heart, and she was on the wait list for a while, and she eventually got, the heart transplant that she needed. And that kind of sat with me because she was a good friend of mine. And I saw, her condition when she was waiting for one. I saw her condition after she got one. I saw how it affected her family, her mom, her dad, and her brother. And at that point, that's when it kind of sat with me of what really organ donation was all about and how important it is to not just you as a person to be able to donate life, but the person who's in need of a transplant. And from that moment on, I knew that was something I wanted to be. But that was really what got me involved in when Methodist Healthcare came to me and asked me to promote that. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind that I wanted to do that. I knew that it would be good. And again, presenting something to my following that I felt that would resonate with them was important, and it made sense.
Yeah, that was incredible. We saw that collaboration on Instagram, and we were so thankful that you shared the importance of being a registered donor, because it's really important. Here in Texas, over 6,000 of the men who are waiting for a transplant need a kidney. And sometimes we know that is because of kidney disease that is brought on by our lifestyle choices. What message do you have for men to help them encourage them to focus on their health?
Yeah, I think, the part of where health is wealth, I think that's what people like to say all the time. And I couldn't agree with that more. I lost my father when I was 19, and I lost him to cancer. And as many times as doctors may say that, it wasn't really a matter of his being healthy or unhealthy that caused it. In my mind, I still think that's part of being healthy, right? Is being able to, manage going through chemotherapy or radiation. But if I can live the best quality of life by being healthy for as long as I can, that matters more to me. Can I be healthy at 60? Can I be healthy at 70? Can I still get around? Because I also believe it's part of mental health as well too, right? A big piece of me working out is my mental health, is just stepping away from the desk for an hour to go work out, or, getting away from, maybe there's some family issues or just anything that just to kind of free your mind. The whole healthy part of a lifestyle, it's all part of that life of just getting away and taking care of yourself.
Yeah, those are really great points, and I do love that phrase, "Health is wealth," and it would be really incredible to use that health to be able to pass on a gift when we pass away. Donate Life Texas reports that 44% of Texans aren't registered, but we know that many of those unregistered are men. Why do you think that men aren't as likely as women to sign up as registered donors?
Yeah, that number kind of surprised me when I saw it, and then hearing you say it again, it still, shocks me that we're under 50%, if not 60%. Part of it I think is just not knowing what organ donation is, not knowing the process, and not knowing what it looks like. Part of us are afraid of talking about that. There's a lot of that. It's just like we don't want to talk about it. And I think for me personally, experiencing it with my father has been easier for me to talk about it and understand it, but also to know that, somebody could benefit from what I have left. And as I'm done, in my afterlife, once I die, that they have something that I can give to somebody else. So I just think education is big, just getting it out there. I mean, our younger generation wants to learn and wants to know. We just got to do a good job of making sure they understand exactly what organ donation is, what the benefits are, and how they can save lives through that.
Yeah. And we've seen time and time again that the community has an unwillingness, like you said, to talk about those end of life decisions. But, it is important to consider because 25% of the patients who are waiting on the waiting list come from Black communities, and 40% of those waiting are Hispanic. And we do know that studies show us that when a transplant between a donor and a recipient come from the same ethnic background, that transplant is going to be so much more successful, meaning that if more minorities donate, more minorities are going to get that transplant. How can we encourage the men in our lives and in minority communities to participate in the donation process?
I think it's getting to them when they're young. I think the problem is we wait and wait and wait, and then as men get older, we become less willing to be able to change our mindset and what we want to do, in terms of being an organ donor. And I think at that point, being an organ donor is so foreign to them, like there's just no way I'm not going to do that now. So I think getting to them when they're young is key to be able to help them understand exactly what is a process, what does it look like, who are you going to be able to save, and how does that work? I can't think of how important that is to have that conversation with like my wife and daughter. Like, this is my wishes. I want to be an organ donor when I pass, and I'm comfortable with that, and this is why. Because I cannot imagine that burden being on them when I do pass. I mean, I've been through that before, and I know there's so many other things on your mind when your loved one passes away, that the last thing you want to think about is, do they want to donate or do they not want to donate? Do we donate or not? And I think having that conversation is key. I mean, any burden you can take off your family when you pass, I think is advantageous to them coping and being able to kind of and try to move on from your passing. So that conversation, I would have to say, is probably the most important piece of this, is registering, and then conversation of why I'm a donor and why I want to be, what I'm hoping to get out of it.
Stefan, thank you so much for joining us to encourage men to sign up to be life-saving donor heroes. Remember, every single one of us has the power to save lives. Sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor by visiting us at TOSA1.org. Tune in next time to TOSA Talks.